Greetings, salutations, Charlton66 here once again with another video. I hope everyone's doing well. I've been enjoying the videos I've been seeing, the top 50 my comic videos I've been seeing have been very, very cool. I like seeing everyone's diverse collection, and some of the stuff surprised me. Some of the comics people showed, and I was glad to see that it was geared towards more of a personal taste or a personal way you feel about emotionally rather than value or what's popular at the time. So that was kind of cool to see. Um, if this is the first time viewing, thank you. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're first time, thank you for stopping by. And everyone else who's come by before, thank you for stopping by again. I know there's tons of other stuff to be doing on a Sunday or, on YouTube. Go watch on YouTube other than my video. So I do appreciate you guys stopping by. The thing I'm going to talk about today is a little company that came out in the summer of '74, Atlas Comics. I'm sure some of you've seen issues before in the bins, and people, you've seen them lingering around, and there's a really good fan base for it. There's a little company that started out with a bang. They were hitting on all cylinders at first. Martin Goodman, who started Marvel comic books back in the '30s, he started this company once he sold Marvel in '68. He started Atlas Comics in '74, and they were out of business by '75. So that kind of shows you how the market was back then, and people weren't really ready for a new comic book company. But they had all the bases covered. They had superhero, they had suspense, they had war, they had crime comics, they had teenage comics. Vicky was their only title with that, and that's one of the rarest of the Atlas Color comic series. If you see any issues of Vicky, pick them up because they're pretty scarce. They had barbarian comics, they had horror comics. They covered it. They were hitting, like I said, on all cylinders at first, but due to the way the comic book companies were back then and the way the economy was, it just wasn't ready for another company. So Martin Goodman, he started the company, and he hired a guy from Warren Comics by the name of Jeff Rovin to edit I believe, the color comics, and Larry Lieber, Stan Lee's brother, to edit the black and white magazine comics they're hard to find in any decent shape, and they're hard to come by. Like some of the Atlas, they're not readily available. They were spotty distribution. Certain areas where you can find, even now, a load of Atlas comic books in a certain area of the country versus another area of the country where you might only find a handful of them. But it's one of those comic book companies that you can theoretically, you can get them all of the whole company and spend, a little amount of money to do it. You just have to find them, and some of them are pricey. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're gonna find these in the quarter bin. Though sometimes you can, but a lot of times they're anywhere between the $10 to $20 range, depending on condition. At least from my experience. Without further ado, we'll start out with a series called Planet of Vampires with a gorgeous Pat Broderick and Neil Adams cover. Most of the series, issues 3 or 4, was what they made it to. There was never an issue 5 of at least of the color comics. Even with the black and white magazines, I don't think they passed 2 or 3. Some of the series went to issue 4, some went to issue 3. And that was it. They were out of business. Planet of Vampires number 3. Obviously, I don't have number 2. Morlock 2001, the world's strangest superhero, with the awesome Milgram Giordano cover. And they had some good characters. They had people working for them that were relatively known in the business. Like I said, Larry Lieber. You had Adams, Broderick, Giordano, Who else did stuff for him? Ernie Colon did an awesome series. I'll come to it here in a second. I'm drawing a blank on it right now. I got all the stuff swirling in my head. Morlock 2001 #2. Morlock 2001 and the Midnight Men. It was changed to the Midnight Men, which is a great cover. Yeah, the Grim Ghost by Ernie Colon. He's a specter of a highwayman from Victorian times, called the Grim Ghost. Great series. This is a cover a lot of people have seen, I'm sure. The Grim Ghost #3. And I believe that's all it went to. I don't think there's an issue 4. I could be wrong. There's a awesome website called Atlas Archives. That list talks about the history. There's articles. They have a checklist of all the comics that they put out at the time. Wolf the Barbarian. I don't know who did this. I think Pablo Marcos, which is another phenomenal artist, did work for Atlas. The actual comic books, it's Atlas Seaboard is the name it's known by collectors. I don't know who this is. Here's Wolf #2. Hurry this up. Wolf the Barbarian #3. It seemed like the Barbarian titles were the more popular. They went to the issue 4. They went past the dreaded 3-issue mark. Even with issue 4, the company knew it was on the outs. It had been pretty bad because I think the way it goes back then, most companies knew by the 6th issue if the series is a success or not. I think that's the adage that is known for if it's a successful book or not. They know by the 6th issue. But I could be wrong on that number. Here's #4, great cover. Here's one of my favorite covers, dialogue on any cover. The antagonist says, "Yeah, Tiger Man, we killed your sister, so what?" Which is crazy dialogue, but Tiger Man, it's a crazy comic indeed. That's the first issue. Tiger Man #2. Tiger Man #3. And here's one of the crime comic books they called Lomax, Police Action, featuring Lomax, NYPD, and Luke Malone, Manhunter. Which there weren't too many crime comic books being published by any company. Because I don't even think Charlton, their crime comic books were long gone by this time. I think this was the only crime comic book that was being published. Here's Lomax, Police Action, featuring Lomax and Luke Malone #2. Police Action #3. Still got a lot going on in this cover. Beautiful cover. Target. The word from the mob is out. Get on Target. All new, all reprint. All new, no reprints. #1. The only reprint title that they had, I think, was Vicky. Here's John Target, Manstalker. Now he gets a costume. Put it in a more superhero realm. And like I said, Vicky, I had a set of all 4 issues, high grade, and I traded them. But when I got in trade, it was worth it. I don't regret the trade. I just regret not having them now, being able to find them again. Because if I find them, I'm buying the set. I don't care I mean, you know, I'm not going to pay crazy prices for them, but I'll pay more than guide, and generally they do go more than what they say in guide. John Target number 2, another copy of number 2. John Target number 3. I got 2 copies of that. Here's the better copy. They even had the Westerns, Kid Cody Gunfighter and the Comanche Kid. Western action. First issue. I don't know how many issues that went up to. That's the only one that I have in my collection. And that might be the only one, but I can't say for sure. Here's the Scorpion number 2. Also Ernie Colon cover. Scorpion number 3. More of a superhero outfit. Big monster there, Hulk, the Brute. The Night of the Brute, number 1. I think this went up to 3. I don't have 2 or 3. Like I said, they're hard to come by. To get them engraved, you'll be paying some money, but they're fun comics to have. They're fun to have in your collection. It's just an oddball company that they really had high hopes for the characters and the future of the company, but alas, it didn't last. Tales of Evil, one of the horror runs, number 1. Tales of Evil, the Bog Beast. This is Tales of Evil number 2. Tales of Evil featuring the Man Monster, which has a great cover. I wish I knew who did this. Weird Suspense featuring the Tarantula. Another one of their suspense books. I don't have the first issue. This is number 2. Barbarians featuring Iron Jaw, number 1. Barbaric Adventures, Iron Jaw, number 2. Here's Iron Jaw in his own book, Iron Jaw number 1. Neil Adams cover. I believe it's Adams. Iron Jaw number 3. I have 2 copies of that. Here's the better of the 2. Iron Jaw number 4. Like I said, the Barbarian books seem to be popular. They're making. This is Pablo Marcos, which is a phenomenal artist. Tales of the Zombie in Marvel was just a phenomenal book. His artwork is just incredible in that. Here's one of the war books, Sergeant Stryker's Death Squad, Savage Combat Tales, featuring Sergeant Stryker. Demon Hunter number 1. Has a really cool Rich Buckler cover. The Phoenix number 1. Phoenix number 2. Great little sci-fi series. Phoenix number 3. last but not least, Phoenix the Protector, which they gave him a hokier costume. It's got some garish colors on it, but it's still a fun title. Number 4. All right, that's it for the little Atlas run. Like I said, they're fun books. If you see them out in the wild, you can afford them, pick them up. You won't be disappointed. It's a piece of comic history, and like I said, there will be a welcome addition to your collection. I'm at the 15-minute mark, a little bit over. Thank you for sticking with me. I do appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you like and hear what you see. And you guys have a good evening and a good week ahead. You guys take care.